Hey, it's Paul from Carver Kings. Got another video here on bars. If you checked out my last video, it was on taping up the ends of the bars and so that the oil stays in your bar or down your channel. Go watch that video if you want to see more about that. This is about dressing the tips of your bars and the edges of your bars. Basically, as you're running the saws, you're going to wear out the tips, especially these hard-nosed bars. So they'll start mushrooming out, and then they'll start wearing down your chain, and then everything's going to fall apart on you. So you need to dress them. And what I do to dress them, basically I clean out the channel first, and then if you feel it, you can feel, you can almost scrape your finger on there. As the chain runs along that edge, it'll mushroom over a little bit. So you got to take that edge off. If you're ever cutting and you find that it's like you just sharpened your saw and you're trying to cut through the wood and it's like it just won't go through, it's like it's stuck or something. Well, that's because that edge is sticking out beyond your chain. So you got to take that edge down. So what I use is I got this from Chipping Away. It's basically a chisel honer. It's got just you can get replacement belts. It's got a sanding belt and a leather strop that you can use on it for sharpening your chisels, but it does a great job for doing the bars. So basically, when I take a bar, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run just a little bit of an angle. I'll run that bar right over the sandpaper to take that edge off of the bar. I'm not going real aggressive. It's just a little bit of an angle to round out that edge a little bit. Get off that sharp, and right around the tip as well. So you can feel that edge is gone on there now. So, and you can also tell when you look at it, you'll see that if your bar is painted, you'll see that as you're sanding it, you'll take off the edge and then you'll start hitting the paint. So you want to do that all the way around on the bar. You can see it's starting to take away the burn. Like if you got it flat on the sander and it's not taking that burn off, that means that this edge is still standing up. Proud of it. So see, now I got a flat bar. It's gotten rid of that burn, so that edge is flat now. So once you get those edges off, then you want to hone the flat edge on the top, because you can get wear one way or the other from, depending if you're doing a lot of curve cuts, you can wear out one side of the bar. So the nice thing about this, it's got a flat plate on here, and you can line up your bar on it, square it up, and just gently take it. It's hard to see on the camera, but basically that just polished it all up, got rid of any rough spots on there. So I'll just take it down. You don't want to be too aggressive. You're just taking it off lightly. The other thing that can happen is within your inside of your drive channel, it can mushroom over on the inside a little bit. So I always take it and kind of fit it in between the sander. And it just smooths it out on the inside. Then I put a leather strap on there, and basically just polishes up the bar. So I'm not sure if you can see that. Puts a nice polish on the rail, so the chain slides over that real nice and easy. Put that back in there, and then I check it. Make sure that the tip is still nice and round, and the chain rotates over that real easy. One of the other things you can run into with these is, especially the dime tips, is that the weld or the channel cut at the tip, as you sand down or dress down your bar, that gap between the top of the rail and the inside where it wraps around the top can get shorter than your drive link depth. So what I do is I take a little cutter, take one of the zip cutters, and you can just run that through that tip to make sure you got the right depth on your bar, right? So usually on the dime tips, if you run your chain over the tip like this, you'll find it skips as it goes over, and what's happening is those drive teeth are skipping over the weld in the middle of the bar. So that's a way to cure that. Just one other thing that can happen with your bars as you use them over time is that they start spreading out. And if you look at your chain, this one's not too bad. It's fairly tight, but you can see there's a wiggle in there. So what happens is, as you're cutting, your chain folds over, and then it'll start catching on the edge of that bar. So if it's mushroomed over at all, then it catches a lot. But even with it dressed like I just did, it can still catch. So what you need to do, you'll find that when you're cutting, what will happen is if your drive channel is too loose and your chain's flopping over, is that when you go to cut, it's going to cut in one direction or the other direction. Like, you won't be able to get a cut straight. It's like, what the hell, I just sharpened it and dressed my bar, and I'm still getting a crooked cut. Well, that's because your channels are opened up. And you can buy one of these things, and it's a rail closer is what it's called. You can get them on Bailey's online, or I think I bought these ones on eBay. There's a manufacturer. This is a higher quality one than the ones that you get at some of the other stores, but the guy stopped making them. You may have a few left. I can find the link and put it in the video. But basically, the way this works is you got these two bearings, and you have an adjuster. So you gotta loosen it off, pull this adjuster out, push it out so you can fit the bar in on there like this. So then what you're doing is you tighten it down a little bit till it's a little snug, and then you can roll that back and forth on the bar and it closes it up. So you try it, you put your once you close it up a little bit, then you put your chain on and you see how tight it is. If it's not, you want to use a new chain, not an old chain, but if it's still loose, then you give it another like 1/8 of a turn or 1/16 of a turn, and you run that back and forth again. You don't want to go over the hardened tipped because you could crack the bar, but you go up to the hardened part and you just basically sliding that back and forth, and over time you're going to squeeze that rail back together. Make sure you do it on both sides, and you'll have a nice tight bar again, just like a brand new one. So hopefully you found this interesting, helpful, save you a few dollars and a few headaches. Anyway, that's it. Hopefully you find it helpful. Like and share, comment in the bottom, let us know if there's anything else you want us to show or more detail, and we'll try and do it. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, we appreciate it. Subscribe up here and watch for more videos. Thanks.